Commanders, welcome back to World of Warships Legends. You're here on the home of the slightly above average ship review. We are on Neighbors in a capture the base match. I believe we are top tier, and we are in the Japanese Tier 5 premium aircraft carrier, Zuiho. Just how embarrassing is the Zuiho going to be for me in this game? Well, that's a great question. I play carriers very, very infrequently. I probably played about 5 games before I had this game, and I played about 5 games after that in the Zuiho, and this was easily the best game. So this is why you are seeing it. Sorry if the sound dropped out there for a minute. Had to get some liquid lubrication for my voice box. The torpedo planes, the torpedo bombers, they're the way you make your money in Zuiho or any Japanese aircraft carrier. So I've started with a flight of torpedo bombers. We're going to go out here, hopefully catch some of these battleships at the beginning of the match broadside, and we're going to engage them with our torpedoes. Hopefully you know a little bit about aircraft carriers. When you're looking at the left side semicircle, that is your airspeed, and the red part at the top means your engine is overheating, so you can't go any faster than that, like we're doing right now. And the right side, I think, is the indicator for when you're beginning a drop, as you can see. Now that's going up on the right side. And the slower you go, the quicker that torpedo arc will narrow. And then the orange part of the indicator there is when your torpedoes are not active. They need some time to arm. So I didn't lead that guy enough, but we did get one torpedo strike. These torpedoes launched from airplanes are not very fast, just about 50 knots. So you really got to aim ahead so the ship sails into them. And there's really not a whole lot you can do to speed them up. So for maybe using Space Fishy as an inspiration, and I do not, because I do not think it is as valuable as some of the other inspirations that you can put on your aircraft carrier commanders, at least for the IJN. All right, so now we have the HE bombers in the air. These are really just a placeholder kind of attack. You're going to do most of your damage with the torpedo bombers. So with the HE bombers, since this match, I've started to drop very low on the HE bombs, letting them get very close to the enemy ship in order to guarantee a hit. Whereas if you talk about the German aircraft, the HP or the AP bomb, sorry, you want to drop those from as high as possible in order to get the Citadel hits. On these ones, I think it's just important to get a hit, period. So I would go very low, just my opinion on these when dropping. You can see here the cruiser is backing up. I thought that was a pretty accurate drop, but I missed. He is hidden in the smoke screen. I still am under the delusion that I can spot him if I get right over him. And you're going to see that is not the case here. So, despite what it says in the concealment screen, we're flying our planes directly over the smoke screen and we are not spotting the enemy ship. So, you just can't do that, even though you might think, like I did, except for right now, that you could do that. You can't. All right, we're going to do a little bit of maneuvering here. The right side of the mini map looks a little troubling to me, so I'm just going to angle the bow of my carrier kind of in the middle of the map. So in case I need to devote some sorties over to the right side of the mini map, I can do that. And then we're going to launch our HE bombs because they've got some bigger ships over there, at least one you can see in the mini map. And so that's why I'm going to launch the second set of HE bombers. It just reloaded to 6. And again, I can't stress that enough. When you're building out your aircraft carrier build, you want to make sure you have the fastest aircraft reload possible, in my opinion, because that is how you do your damage, regardless of the country. All right, so we're coming around here in our HE bombers. So if you're not familiar, the American aircraft carriers specialize in doing damage with the HE bombs. The Japanese specialize in doing damage with torpedoes. The Germans specialize in doing damage with armor-piercing bombs. And the British have a special mechanic with an HE carpet bombing, which I think is a really good way to go after destroyers. That's just my read on that. As you can see, again, I thought that was relatively accurate, but that was just a miss. So in the future, I would wait for my drop to get a little bit lower in order to ensure accuracy, because I'm just not getting it here. And as you can see, trying to maneuver this circle into position, and then the bombs hit the water, the ship's almost all the way through it anyway. So just my opinion, if you're not a great player like me with these aircraft carriers, go lower, make sure you're going to get a hit. All right, we're sending our torpedo bombers back out here on a sortie. And I see this Izukazi is over there. The enemy team has a destroyer. We spawned into the match, the blue team, without a destroyer. That strikes me as some kind of distinct advantage that shouldn't be happening in matchmaking, but it did. And up to this point, there's 8.5 minutes left in the match. I haven't really done anything, a couple of torpedo strikes, and I was feeling really kind of downhearted about this match. Right here, the destroyer does something smart. He kind of goes behind the island. So as you see, I can't do a drop because I would end up dropping my torpedoes on that reef or landmass there. But then he comes out from behind the island, so I'm going to circle around and begin my torpedo run. And he starts to back up. So as you can see here, the indicator was really wide apart. I just dropped the torpedoes because I didn't have any options. And he reversed right into it. Kill number one. And so that right there, that one little thing, killing a destroyer with a torpedo drop that was really poorly aimed, really gave me a bunch of confidence that I can kill ships and I can have an impact on this battle. So we had our first kill with under 8 minutes left. And from here on out, we're going to show you what you can do in an aircraft carrier if you're motivated. All right, so I got a little bit of confidence. We're going after the Queen Elizabeth, and we're going to start our torpedo run. I like to start it around 4.5 kilometers. You know, your mileage may vary. Um, Started a little bit later that time. As you can see, our speed, the semicircle to the left side, fully pegged out, drawing back on it to get this torpedo arc thing closed up a little bit more accurate. Each nation has their own level of accuracy. And as you can see there, we were able to get 2 torpedo strikes on the front of the Queen Elizabeth, or the rear of the Queen Elizabeth, pardon me. Now we're coming back for more on the front. Couldn't get it slowed down enough, but we only have one plane. So we just dropped 1 torpedo, and we got another torpedo strike on the Queen Elizabeth. All right, we've got some more torpedo planes coming out here. I want to say I don't think this is going to be a full sortie or a full flight. I think just 5 airplanes. This New York is here. It is close, but you got to learn to evaluate your targets. Now you can't trust that your teammates are going to take them out. So I went to go start Torpedo Run on the New York, and he gets taken out. So this is what happens when you don't have a target. You get to check the map, do all sorts of other stuff because you know the ship you were going to do a run on is dead. What I also did there, I went into the other screen and I set the autopilot of our carrier towards the enemy cap. And now we're going to do a torpedo run on the last remaining battleship, the Queen Elizabeth. And as you can see, 4.5, 4, we'll start our run. Just 2 planes per run, so in theory, out of each full sortie, you get 6, or 3 drops, 6 planes. You can see the indicator, consumable indicator to the left. I dropped my fighter planes out in the air in order to combat the enemy fighter planes that are in the area. We do get a couple more torpedo strikes on the Queen Elizabeth. And our last 2 planes, starting the last run, and we're not going to be able to get them slowed down in time. But we do drop because some torpedoes in the water is better than no torpedoes in the water, and we do get another torpedo strike on the Queen Elizabeth. All right, HE bombers up in the air. Maybe I'm hoping we can finish the QE off. Almost has no health left at all. And, well, spoiler alert, we're not going to get there in time. So let's say you're a slightly above average player and you're an aircraft carrier, and it's at the end of a scenario like this. What can you do to artificially inflate your damage numbers and make yourself look like a big hero to everybody who doesn't know any better? Well, that's easy. All right. You just let your teammates finish off the extremely wounded Queen Elizabeth, like they do right there, and then you go after the enemy aircraft carrier. Now, the enemy aircraft carrier, it is a big hit point pool just floating around waiting for you to attack. As you can see, this enemy aircraft carrier is the Furious. That is the British aircraft carrier. I think the Furious is a really good aircraft carrier. But today, because he's outnumbered, he is going to have a bad day. And he's especially going to have a bad day at the hands of the Zuiho commander, who is desperately trying to perform better in order to make a video for his 113, count them, loyal subscribers. And of course, anyone else who happens by, thank you for watching. All right, here's the Furious. We are going to start our bomb run on him. Not really doing a whole lot of maneuvering. He does have some good AA, but we're going to make sure we get it right over the flight deck before we drop our HE bombs. And we do start a fire. And you know, pretty much when you do a run on an enemy carrier, you're going to lose the rest of your planes. So I already accepted that going into it. All right, we're going to launch our torpedo planes. You can see back on the deck of our aircraft, we have 6 HE bombers ready to go. So we'll be able to switch over and have a full flight as soon as this sortie is complete. Now this cruiser is horning in on my action over here. I'm not very happy about it, but I am going to drop off some fighters for him to help defend him against the enemy aircraft carrier, because that's what a good aircraft carrier commander does. Again, that's the consumable counting down on the far left. You dropped off air superiority fighters to help defend your ship under attack. All right, torpedoes are the best way to attack an enemy aircraft carrier. We're going to start our torpedo run a little bit late here, but we're going to draw back on that left stick to get this in as tight as we can. There we go. And that is a good drop on the Furious. As you can see, our planes just get eviscerated, but we do get 2 torpedo strikes and we start a flood as well as incapacitation. Now, because we put the Furious on fire the first time, that was automatically damage conned by the Furious's setup or any aircraft carrier setup. So that flood is still going on unabated while he waits for his damage con to recharge. We had to drop planes right over our own ship because he was coming after us, and that is to be expected. You can see we are getting some airplanes shot down in air-to-air combat and by our ship AA. Although I'll tell you, in my opinion, the Japanese aircraft carriers don't have great AA, at least in terms of their range. All right, the Furious in motion. We are going to do another HE bomb drop. Slow down, make sure we can get a good hit, and we do. We set another fire on the Furious. I believe he is burning and flooding at the same time, and he gets the clear sky for shooting down 20 of our aircraft. As you can see, we have under a minute left in this match, but we get the kill with the Liquidator. Yes, sir. That's how you finish it off in the aircraft carrier, ladies and gents. All right, here we are on my favorite screen, the victory screen, the Liquidator medal. We shot 5 airplanes down in air-to-air combat, 11 torpedo strikes, and 2 kills, including the final kill. Just short of 250,000 silver, 4929 ship XP, and commander XP in the Zuiho. All right, let's go to the scoreboard and take a look. See where we ended up. There we are on top of the board. 1825 base XP with those two big kills. Is it the world's greatest match in Zuiho? Obviously not. Did we have help from our teammates at the top of the board? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we finished it off and we finished at the top of the board. And as far as I'm concerned, you can put that in the bank if that's an aircraft carrier match. So that's that. All right, here in a minute, we're going to go into the port, take a look at the upgrades for the Zuiho Flight Control Mod 1. That helps your restoration time. I highly recommend it because that's the most important way you can get more planes, to do more sorties, to do more damage. So I would never choose anything but that when it's an option. And then we did AA Guns Mod 2 to increase the firing range for our AA guns. In terms of consumables, you've got an auto damage con, and we have 4 fighter consumables that are launched automatically by the ship. Type 9 permanent camo and the Duck of War flag, because when you sink an aircraft carrier, it makes that honk noise. 36,500 hit points and a 4% torpedo damage reduction with our build. And so that's just another reason to attack with torpedoes. Our torpedo bombers, that's where you make your money. The dive bombers are what they are. So you really want to spec everything to favor your torpedo bombers in the IJN aircraft carriers, at least in the humble opinion of your host. You can see your secondary armament, very short range, just 4 kilometers. Your first set of secondaries reloads every 6 seconds. Your second set reloads every 5 seconds. They both do 21 HE shell damage with an 8% fire chance. AA defense, again, 6.3 with that AA mod. Max speed 28 knots, 910 meter turning circle, 9.6 second rudder shift time, and concealment 10 flat on the surface, 7.9 from the air, and the guaranteed detectability is 2 kilometers. Taking a look at the armor viewer, well, looks like the heaviest armor is at the keel of the ship. There is your above water citadel, more towards the rear of the ship. So if you're shooting at a Zuiho, aim for the rear of the ship in order to contact the citadel. Here's our commander, Taemon Yamaguchi. Base trait increases the AA damage, which they desperately need. We have Tanaka to increase torpedo damage, and Swirsky for concealment. In row 1, we went with no fly zone. Again, you got to increase that range as much as you can. Row 2, one-way ticket to increase torpedo damage. Row 3, hidden threat to reduce the detectability and give your torpedo bombers more hit points. And 4th row, look at me now, because we're not trying to make the HE bombs better. Legendary skill, We Are Legion, increases the airspeed of the torpedo bombers in addition to its always on trait. So that's why I build it the way I do. Hope you enjoyed this look at the Zuiho. If you did, hit that like button. See you on the next video.